Hello everyone, I am Dr. Nisha Kumari, Assistant Professor at School of Business, Aditya University. Today we are going to discuss about the ideation techniques, and by the end of this particular lecture, students will be able to understand what are the different ideation techniques we are having and how to utilize those ideation techniques to generate creative and innovative ideas, as well as they will be able to analyze and refine the ideas by integrating the multiple ideation techniques within the design thinking process. So before starting the talking about the ideation techniques, as we discussed in the design thinking process, first step was to empathize. First step was that we are going to empathize with the consumers, correct? Now after empathizing, we are going to define the problem. And after defining the problem, we are going to ideate the solutions. So here, when we are talking about the ideation techniques, in this ideation stage, we are going to utilize some certain techniques which will be helping the teams to understand or to create the different ideas or the solutions for the particular problem they identify. So when we are talking about the brainstorming you can understand, like sometimes when you are studying in the class also, faculties will come and they will give you some kind of statement and they will create the groups, and if the entire group is going to sit together and they are going to come up with some kind of different ideas to perform the task which is given to them. So that entire process, what you are following, it's a brainstorming. Another example is like that, we all friends are sitting together and one particular friend is having some certain problem. So now what is happening, all the friends, whether that particular solution which they are coming up, is it really valid or is it really going to work, they are not thinking about it, that simply based on their understanding, based on their knowledge, and sometimes just to pull their friends, like what is happening, they are coming up with some kind of different ideas. So again, that entire process is the brainstorming. So while we talk about the brainstorming in terms of the business, or you can say the ideation for coming up with the solution for the user's problem, in that what is happening, the entire team is coming together and they are coming up with n number of solutions. Here when we talk about the number of generation of the ideas, there is no limit. We are generating infinite ideas, how much the team can generate. So what is the purpose of that brainstorming? First is that to encourage the divergent thinking. Divergent thinking means we are not sticking to a one particular path, we are trying to understand the entire scenario in a holistic way, or you can say the 360-degree way. So for example, if you want to go from spot A to spot B, now rather than going directly from spot A to spot B, we are trying to identify, is there any other way? For example, from here we went to the spot C and from there we went to the spot B, or whether we directly went to here spot D and from spot D to B, and here again from spot E to spot B, or directly can we go to the spot B. And here also, which modes we can use. For example, if you're going through the spot from A to C and C to B, we are using the train. While we are going from A to E and E to B, we are using the flights. And from A to D and D to B, we are simply using the buses, or if the smaller distance is there, A to B, we can have the autos also. Now which one is feasible and viable and which one is like really going to work, that is the secondary part. But in this first scenario, we are going to understand, we are going to like consider each and every particular idea and the transport mode which we can use to reach from A to B. So in brainstorming, what is happening, rather than sticking to a one particular linear direction, we are encouraging the divergent thinking where the team members are not having any limitations, and it helps in removing the fear of criticism. What happens, we are coming up with some kind of idea, but if you are seeing that okay, there are n number of people are sitting in the room and they are going to criticize us or they are going to mock us, so what happened, we are not coming up with the answers. For example, in your classes also, when even though you are having 50-50 idea that whatever the question has been asked by the faculty, you know the answer, but because of the fear that people will mock you or people will criticize you for your answer, you are not able to come up with your answer and you are not able to express or you are not able to tell your answer to the faculty. But in a brainstorming, it is been like given that kind of environment where there will be no criticism. So that kind of fear they are not having, and because of that they can come up with kind of any creative or the innovative idea. That's why it enhance your divergent thinking as well as is come up with the more creative and the innovative ideas, and it helps you generating the multiple business idea, because in starting, as I mentioned, there is no limitation on generating your ideas in the brainstorming technique. Now, what is the rule of the brainstorming? First thing, there will be no criticism and evaluation during the idea generation process. Once we are going to generate the idea, in the second step, we will talk about the validation of the idea. Okay. So, but in the first step, we are not going to talk about the validation of the idea, or we are not going to criticize the idea. We are simply going to generate the ideas, how many we can generate. And then it encourages the wild and unconventional ideas. For example, we identify the problem that there is a like a bigger issue of the traffic problem in the Bangalore. Now the entire team is sitting and they are coming up with some kind of different ideas. So one person came up with the idea that we can create many bridges for the same path. For example, from here you want to go here from A to B. So now this is a single road. Now above this single road, we created one bridge from here, starting here to starting there. So what will be happening? The traffic will be diverted to these routes as well as on your bridge also. So because of that, what will be happening? The crowd will be lesser and the traffic issue will be reduced. Then second answer can be that we can create some kind of car which can fly. So when you are standing in the traffic here, so and you are thinking that this entire area is fully like crowded by that and it's got stuck. So what is happening? We can use our flying car and we can fly and directly reach to the B point. So now whether we can create that kind of car or not, that is a secondary part. But here we are simply encouraging the wild idea generation, that whatever it can come in your mind, you can think and you can express. We will going to evaluate that idea later part. Then it focuses on the quantity over the quality. In brainstorming technique, we are not talking about the quality. As I mentioned, we are not going to evaluate the idea, we are not going to validate the idea, we are simply generating the ideas. So here we are focusing more on the quantity rather than the quality of the idea, and build on the other ideas. Means, for example, one person said that we can like enhance the usage of public transports to reduce the traffic problem. What they mentioned? We can use the public transport. Now what is happening? By listening that particular idea, another person came in the like with the idea that rather than using the public transport, we can create the bridge to different locations to divert the crowd, or you can say to reduce the crowd at a single place. So what is happening here? From the one idea, the other person is getting some kind of idea and they are generating or they are building their ideas on the basis or the foundation of the previous ideas shared by their team members. Then second one is mind mapping. In mind mapping, what happens? They are going to put the one main idea in a between, and then they are going to create the some sub branches to achieve or to fulfill or to implement that particular idea which they thought, which the final output they thought to create. For example, if we watch about talk about the movies, so in that the crime scenes will be there and the police people will be there, detectives will be there. What will be they will do? They will be having a one chart board, and here for example suspect 1, suspect 2, suspect 3, and here the victim. So if we talk about that thing, so they will create some kind of this kind of, we can say thread they will use to connect, to understand the linkages between these different peoples and to understand the entire scenario. So same wise, what happens here, using the mind mapping, we are going to create one entire kind of web, you can say, or entire kind of map, where we are going to understand to achieve this particular main idea, what are the things which we have to perform. Now again taking the example, and we are talking about the main idea that we want to introduce foldable laptop. Okay, that is the final output we want. Now to come up with this particular product, we are going to look the materials which we has to use, correct, and then the motherboard we are going to use, because if we are talking about the feature, it's just not that we are going to just talk about the materials which we are going to use for the creating the laptop, but as well as we are going to talk about the other things which can give the, you can say, the advantage or benefit. So again, here your RAM and ROM, display size, you can talk about it, the camera quality, you can talk about it. So now what is happening, these different branch things, they are coming together, and then we only can achieve this particular product. So in mind mapping, what is happening, we are putting the main idea in the center, and then we are creating the categories, or we are creating the branches to that particular main idea to understand the connection between those sub ideas and the main ideas, and to understand the path to go from one place to another place by understanding the entire scenario. So while we're talking about the mind mapping, the purpose of the mind mapping is to structure the creative thoughts. For example, just now we take for creating the foldable laptops, what are the things has been required, and how we can come up, or how we can create that foldable laptop. So what are the things are required, how we can do that part. Then we are able to understand the relationship between the ideas. Like if someone is facing some kind of problem, so by that mind mapping, we are able to understand, okay, this problem is being caused by so and so reason. Okay, so now we are going to refer that particular reason. So and by referring that reasons, what is going to happen, we are going to generate some ideas, and those ideas we are going to link with the main ideas also. So entirely in a mind mapping, what is happening, we are creating some kind of web or the map where we are like connecting the sub ideas with the main ideas to solve the ultimate problem, and because of that reason, it provides the clarity and the focus what we really want to achieve and what we really want to solve. So now when we are talking about the process, in the process what is going to happen, we are going to put the main idea in the center, and then we are going to draw the branches, and then we are going to, based on the categories, just now as I gave the example, same we can talk about the smartphones also, the size, camera, display, or you can say that storage, all those things, software. So we will connect all those things, and we are going to add the sub ideas or the connections to these particular branches. So in the mind mapping, what is happening, we are able to generate the idea by connecting the sub ideas or by connecting the other categories to implement or to come up with the one particular main core idea. Third one is Scamper. So Scamper, when we are talking about the Scamper, it's a very creative tool, and in Scamper, each alphabet stands for something. When we talk about the first S, it stands for the substitute. So for example, we are creating some kind of food. Okay, so in a food, what happens, usually when we are making curry, we'll go with the simple example. When we are making the curry, we use usually tomatoes, but now due to some reason, the price of the tomatoes been increased. So now what will be happening, in place of tomatoes, what we are using lemon, because these are cheaper in reference to the tomatoes. So what we did the substitute of the tomato with the lemon. Then second one is the combine. In combine, what happens, we are combining one or more resources or more ideas together so that we can generate the best one. For example, if you talk about this kind of thing, we are combining the AI and your PPT. So now previously we were creating PPT and we are teaching using PPTs, correct? But now what happened, we combine the AI tools also with the PPT, and because of that we are able to generate more animated, or the what you can say, the virtual experience for the students. Adapt. In Adapt, what happens, what new thing we can adapt. Again, for example, your AI. Previously when we are talking about the teaching methods, we just used to use that chalk and board, then we come up with the marker and board. Now we are coming up with the projectors. So here what is happening, what are the new resources which we can adapt to generate better ideas or the solutions, or to refine your existing solution. Fourth one, M stands for the modify. where we are doing some kind of modifications. For example, if you go to the cafes. So previously in the cafes, what was happening? You are simply going and standing in the line and you are paying for the snack and then you're getting your snacks. But now what happened? They integrated one kind of, we can say that this kind of KO machine will be there. So there you're going to place your orders, there only you're going to do the payment also. After doing the payment, you will be waiting for your token number, and when your chance will come, you will take your snacks, correct? So this is the way they modify the process. They refine the process by modifying some certain steps or by including some kind of other machineries into that. Put to another use, what is happening? The same resources, the core purpose of that particular resources is there, we are utilizing it for it, but apart from that also we are utilizing that particular resource. For example, when we go to the restaurants, when we talk about the restaurants, why they create the food? They create the food for the customers, that customers will come and they will pay some amount of money and we are going to deliver the food. That is the core purpose of entire the restaurants, correct? But now what is happening? At the end of the day, some food was been left over. So what they did? They donated that leftover food to the beggars or the roadside people or the needy people. So what was happening? The core purpose of that food to deliver to the customers. But now it's been remained, we donate it to some third party. Eliminate where the thing or the resource is not needed, and without that particular resource also we can work. So for example, we talk about the curd rice which is being made in the restaurants. So in that what will be happening? They will be having that pomegranate seeds or the all other masalas, correct? But when we are creating in the home, what we are doing? Simply we are adding the lemon, rice, curd and a little bit water. So there the need of that particular resource is not there. So we can eliminate that particular resource and reverse or rearrange. So the process or the way we are applying the things, we are altogether rearranging. For example, if we talk about nowadays these clinics, previously again you have to go to the clinic, you are going to place your order, and after placing the order you are going to get your medicine and you will pay. But now new facilities came, for example Apollo 24/7. So here what is happening? You can order your medicines through phones as well as online also. Once you will place the order, you will get your entire order at your doorstep, and now it's totally depending on you whether you want to do the advance payment or cash on delivery. So they all together rearrange the entire process or the entire way they were used to perform previously their operations with the current one. And the last one is role playing. The main purpose of the role playing is to understand the users in more depth. Again, role play is altogether about in and around the users. So the main purpose of the role playing is to build the empathy. Empathy in the sense we are going to understand deeper our users, and by understanding we are just not simply going to sympathize with them, but we are going to generate some kind of creative and innovative ideas to solve those particular problems. And based on that we are going to identify the hidden user needs which they are not expressing properly, but by doing the role play we get to understand, okay, this can be also the feeling. For example, sometimes what happen when we are going home, we are seeing that our mother is not that much lively. So we simply assumed that might be some kind of health issue is there, or might be some relative said something, correct? But when we are going to interact, when we are going to play the entire scenario, we are able to understand, okay, this was the hidden reason why our mom is not that much lively and why she is not behaving healthier. And based on that, it helps you to improve the solution, and it creates more relevant solutions to the particular problems. So now while we are talking about the role play in terms of the organization or in terms of the business ideas, what will be happening? The one party is going to play the role of the customer, one will be the entrepreneur, second one will be the supplier, and the last one will be the employee. So now they are going to create the entire scenario here, and they are going to play this role to understand, okay, if we were at the place of the customer, in place of the entrepreneur, in place of the supplier, and in place of the employee, what are the different options or whatever the different scenarios can be happen. So based on that thing, they are going to again understand the hidden user needs, and for that they are going to generate more better ideas or innovative ideas to solve the problem. So now when we talk about the ideation technique, first of all it helps in creating an like generating the innovative ideas. Then when we talk about the brainstorming, the main focus is the idea generation. We are not talking about here the quality. We are not going to do the validation of the ideas. We are simply generating the ideas. Second one is the mind mapping, where in the mind mapping what we are doing, we are organizing the entire idea by putting the main idea in the center and by creating the sub branches of those ideas, correct? And in the scamper, we are doing the improvement by following these particular components of the scamper. We are going to refine either by utilizing one component or either by utilizing more than one components. We are going to refine the idea, we are going to improve the idea. And again, the last one, your role playing, it helps in understanding the users more in depth, and it helps to identify the hidden pains or the experiences of the users. Thank you.